Hi there, this is Catherine with Network in Action Eastside. Thanks so much for joining today. I have here with me Chris Paliszewski with Octavian Natural Health. Chris, I'm so glad you're here to join me today. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I'd love for you to share really how you got started with Octavian Natural Health and where you are today with your company.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually am a naturopathic medical student. And so during my time in medical school, I ended up taking what was called the Bastyr Massage Intensive Program, where I was able to get my
Mhm.
massage license through my medical training. And I was able to actually start my practice while in school. So I started my practice doing all the things that I learned in naturopathic school that I could do in under massage scope of practice.
Mhm.
And started doing it. I had a lot of demand from other students. And so I opened my practice during school just in order to be a part-time job. And then I was able to transition it into more of a full-time job after graduating. So
That's so exciting. So
yeah.
how many years have you been then essentially running Octavian Natural Health?
Yeah, we've been in practice since February 2017. So going on about 3, 4 years now.
Great. I think that was so smart of you to actually start your practice ahead to really get the understanding of the business aspects because that can be so challenging when it comes for health professionals because your
Absolutely.
training really doesn't include how to
No,
run
it
a
really
business.
doesn't. You get a little bit of training just in terms of how to run a clinic, like they're expecting you to go in and work in like an already established clinic, or you're starting a full clinic where you're having, you're drawing blood, you're doing all kinds of tests, and you don't necessarily have just the streamlined, you're working with clients just one-on-one, talking with people, helping them solve their problems. And that requires so much less overhead, and there's so much you can accomplish even with just doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious, what made you get into natural health in the first place? What was really your driver? What's your why?
Yeah, I had a ton of health issues when I was younger. I don't look like it now, but I was essentially disabled at one point. I
Oh,
couldn't even
wow.
run from my front door to the end of my driveway when I was in my teens. And my knees would buckle. I had so many terrible health issues. My GI system was upset. I got headaches all the time. I had to drop out of all my sports. And I was a huge jock back then. That just really killed me.
Mhm.
So that I really struggled with that, and it wasn't until we ended up seeing a naturopath that they were able to essentially turn my whole health picture around. I was already eating pretty healthy at the time, but just really dialing in like what foods were triggering a lot of my symptoms, and just helping with getting acupuncture and physical medicine and just all of the tools that natural medicine has to offer. And I was able to essentially regain my health back, able to have a physical demanding job like massage therapy, which for those who don't know, it's a very physically demanding job, which I couldn't even imagine having that kind of job at one point because I was so sick. And so I really am wanting to pass that on to other people where, I learned the things that saved my health so that I could pass them on to others. So everything that I do is something that I've experienced that's helped me.
That's amazing. I love when it's really that driver out of a personal experience that
Yeah.
leads you down that path. So, gosh, I bet you can relate to your clients like so many people cannot because they may have not experienced that.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that can be a problem right now, especially in the medical world, is there's a lot of whether it's intentional or not, there's a lot of doctor on high sort of problems
Mhm.
sometimes where there's the physician who's on high who's talking down of like, oh yes, do this thing and I promise it'll get better, but they haven't necessarily experienced that sort of thing for themselves. So there can be a disconnect there for a lot of people. So I hope to really like
Sure.
bridge that gap for a lot of people.
Oh, well, I'm excited to see really that transition as you bring Octavian Natural Health into the full physician practice. So that's
Yeah,
so
exactly.
exciting. Yeah.
Hmm.
And share with us a recent client experience of yours, one of your favorite moments with some of your clients.
Ooh, I really like it when we just end up having a conversation where they end up fixing their own problems. It can be really simple for a lot of people where sometimes it can be something so simple and they don't think about it because a lot of the times what happens is people come in and they expect it to be doctor mode where I'm like, okay, you need to drink more water. Here's a handout that says how much water you need to drink. Bye. And they walk away. But so sometimes people can be hesitant being honest about these sorts of things, and so I try to be really careful with people. Be like, hey, I'm here to help you. I'm here to troubleshoot. I'm not here to like tell you that you're a terrible person. You're busy. You're running around. You're only drinking maybe 2 water bottles. That's fine. That's probably better than a lot of people. How can we help you improve on that? So a lot of times when we really just talk into it, Like there's one client where you can just ask a simple question like they say they're not drinking a lot of water. And it's like, okay, well, what's your system for keeping track? And they're like, I never even thought about having a system to keep track, or I never even thought about it. I'm like, okay, well, do you have a water bottle that you use? And they're like, oh my gosh, I don't even have a water bottle. They just, and in their brain, they're like, I've already fixed the problem. I just need to get a water bottle and then I'll be fine because I'll just keep track of how many. I'm like, great, awesome. You did it. You
Yeah,
fixed it yourself. I just led you in the right direction. You figured it out on your own. Awesome.
problem solved. I love
Yeah.
that.
Hmm.
And you focus really on clients who are high performers and really hitting that
Hmm.
threshold of being burned out, right?
Yes.
And man, you've got plenty of clientele around that
I do.
to
Yeah.
choose from.
Especially in
I'm
this area,
like,
there's a lot
it's
of
so
those
many
people.
people who are hitting that threshold.
Yeah, and it's really interesting too because it's that fine balance between trying to get people to hold back because a lot of these sorts of people they're so used to people saying like keep going, keep going, keep going that they don't have a lot of people selling them to hold back, but not hold back in an unrealistic way because what'll happen is have these people who are working, you know 60-hour weeks, they're doing crazy schedules, especially I've got a lot of medical students, I have entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
they're pulling crazy hours, they're doing crazy things. And what they're used to having is someone comes in, either one of two things. Either someone who's just like, all right, that's what you got to do. You got to, put your nose to the grind and make it happen. Or the people who are like, that's crazy. How can you stand to do that? You need to stop. What are you doing? And so they're not used to seeing that in between of like, okay, I see what you're doing. I acknowledge what you're doing, but how can we tweak it? Like, what's the high yield stuff? Like, I'm not
Right.
going to tell you to work less hours a week, but how can we make that work better for you? How can we optimize that for you?
Great. I love that. That's so smart. Because yeah, if you try to tell people they can't work that amount, that alone can stress them
Yeah,
out.
that's just gonna alienate people. Mhm.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Chris. I'm curious. I take it you can work in a virtual capacity or in person. I know with the pandemic, it's really changed how so many people are able to operate. So,
Mhm.
tell me how you are able to serve your clients now due to the pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely. I was very fortunate to have been very tech focused even beforehand. I'm a huge tech nerd, so I worked very hard on getting a really nice online platform well before the
Mhm.
pandemic. That was one of the first things I actually did because I had so much demand. I have a lot of contacts across the US. I have a lot of doctors that I meet up at conferences. I get a lot of referrals. So I already knew that virtual practice would be pretty high on my list. So
Sure.
I've been doing virtual care with my health coaching for a long time now, pretty much since the beginning of my practice. So the only thing that's really just been different has been the in-person services in terms of the more hands-on body work, the more treatment-focused massage.
Mhm.
And I know we spent most of the time talking about health coaching. That's most of what I do. But I do hands-on work too. I'm very good at treating sports injuries and overwork and that sort of thing. And so I've just had less of an emphasis on that with the pandemic, but
Sure.
I do still offer those services. It's just more like everybody wears masks, super sanitize
Mhm.
everything, but the actual services offered are relatively the same. I already do fully clothed work with everybody. I don't do the full draped massage. It's just keep your clothes on. It's um, more of the sort of work that you would expect from a PT than massage therapist, if
Right.
that makes sense. So it's a little
Yeah.
more just getting in there, breaking up tissue, just helping that clear that sort of thing out more than the like light, fluffy, oil everywhere massage.
Not your relaxation massage.
Yeah, not your cookie cutter franchise massage. Nope.
Yeah. Yeah. And Chris, what's the best way for someone to contact you if they'd like to talk to you about your services?
Yeah, best thing you can do is contact me at my website, octaviannaturalhealth.com. There'll be a form for contact at the bottom. You can also schedule an initial consultation right there on the site too.
Great. Thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your journey with us. And I look
Absolutely.
forward to getting to know you and seeing your practice grow.
Thanks.
Thank you.